I didn't like this film, and maybe that's the point. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Beyond the Gray Media. This is Josh here, checking in on you out there in YouTube land. YouTube tonight, I just want to do just kind of a quick little sit down. I just want to look right into the camera and tell you exactly how I feel about this film that I just watched last night, and what I would recommend doing and what I would recommend not doing with it. I'm not going to have a bunch of fill or fluff. I'm just going to try to explain it to you. Maybe it's a recommendation, maybe it's an avoidance. We'll see. It depends on how you take this video. So right now, I want to talk about 2024's The Devil's Bath. I read some articles. I'd heard a ton of stuff about this film when I first heard about it, and a lot of the reviews, they're not glowing, they're not super positive, and I think that's okay, because this is going to be a really divisive film for most people, I think. And you need films like this. You need things that get into your bones and just kind of burrow a lot. And I've been thinking about this film for a long time, and I want to, I just want to talk about it. So this film is something that is going to affect you differently, depending on what you've been through, depending on your state of mind, depending on where you watch it, depending on the mood that you're in, if you have people around, is it at night, are you in a good place, is it the weekend, is it Monday, right? It just kind of depends. This is a 2024 film from the makers of The Lodge and Goodnight Mommy, and what we have here is we have a historical film in The Devil's Bath. It's a drama, it's a horror film, it's a bunch of different things, but what it's not is subtle. This is a really deliberately intense film that has no frills, no fucking nothing about it. This is just bare bones. When you're in this film, and that's about all. That's all you can do. There's nothing else you can do but absorb this film, I think. And this is a true account of experiences in the 1800s, and it's bone-jarringly painful, this film. It sucks. I don't think I really like this film at all, but I think it rips at the same time because it's so damn intense. It's so labor intensive. So this film takes a pound of flesh from you, and it's not fun to sit through. Knowing what I know now about The Devil's Bath on the surface, this is going to be painted as an angsty, anxious, slow-footed. But if you can stick with this film, if you can get through some of the most intense visuals at the beginning and some heartbreakingly blasphemous moments, really of the whole year, it's just neat. But it's neat in a different way. Does this have everything succinct and lightning laser fast? And does that always need to be like the point of horror films, to have this really trim runtime and, wrap things up nice and neat? And just, is that what everything really has to be? Or can we just slow the fuck down once in a while and just really enjoy a movie and let it brood? Let it sit with you for a little bit and sink its teeth into your bones and just give you something to stew on and dread about. And that's what this film does. That's exactly what the hell this film does. And I like how a certain faction of my horror films do this, especially some of my favorites, but this one spares no expense, and it's not going to be my favorite film of the year. It's a film that I don't think that I'm going to recommend to very many people. The Devil's Bath, it's the newest offering from, the intense and extremely talented duo of Veronica and Severin. They made Goodnight Mommy, the 2014, not that bullshit that came out, was it last year? With that's horrible. And then they also did 2019's The Lodge. And The Lodge is a film that I really was not in a good space to watch, and that's a film I don't think I'm ever going to revisit. I've tried watching it since then. I got about halfway through and I was like, this is not for me. I fucking love The Lodge though, but that is a film that I think is so grief-stricken and so depressing. It's like Hereditary without the same horror thrills. It doesn't have the same payoff. It's just hopeless, and you gotta be in the right headspace for a film like that. And that's what these guys do really, really well. Goodnight Mommy is a little more straightforward while still being, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. But yeah, The Lodge fucked me up for weeks. It ruined my entire weekend. I don't know. I didn't watch it until the pandemic, because I was kind of late to the party, and my wife watched it. She's like, I'm never watching that film again. And it's not the most intense visually, but this duo of directors, they have this way of just unleashing things, and they do that here in The Devil's Bath in the first few minutes. Spoilers galore from this point on. This is a true story. This is a true account of something that happened in Austria all the time, and I can't really say the word because I don't want it to get flagged, but this film has some of the most shocking and brutal visuals of the year. But, that's not to say that it happens the whole time. So, in the first 5 minutes of The Devil's Bath, we are just wrought with this painstakingly brutal infant. Oh my God, it's so intense. It's got like this beautiful waterfall, and this woman is walking to the top of it, and there's this coup of this infant, and yeah, this woman is not having it. And that film is one of the most brutal things I've seen in a minute. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I mean, I just watched Imprint again, back in December, and I filmed that video, and that's got a lot of that too. And this one, it's gorgeous minus the subject matter, man. I got a couple of notes here. There's a lot of things that happen that are just kind of everyday monotony in The Devil's Bath, where it's basically the story of this woman who she wants to get married, she wants to start a family, and she wants to be a good person, I think. And she marries a man that we think, could be in the closet, or he definitely seems to have a feller in mind, and that's totally cool unless you're the female here. And he hints at his friend being handsome, and the friend eventually kind of unalives himself, and the husband is really upset, and the husband is not really into pleasuring the wife or having any sort of relations like that, and the mom is really involved, and they move out to this little hut that he buys, and he goes off to fish, and she's supposed to just play house and kind of take care of the land. And it's just really, really, really hard to watch, like, her just suffer through this existence where you're like, how does she get out of this thing? You can tell she's really losing her mind. All the while, there's a lot of ritualistic, I guess spirituality. I don't know if it's Christianity or exactly what they're supposed to be, worshiping here, but there is a lot of limbs removed. There is a lot of people buried and dug up. They're cutting off fingers and toes. There's a lot of severed heads, and there's a lot of rejoicing with the town folk in this place in Austria. And you feel it, man. You feel it. There's not a lot of dialogue in this film. So, and it is a German film, but there's hardly any dialogue. So if subtitles kind of turn you off and you're interested in something like this that is a slow burn, definitely give it a shot, because you don't really have to read that much. There's only, the husband will barely talk to this poor wife, and you just see her spiral into madness. Just this slow, painful descent, dude. Fucking painful. And the actress, who plays, she acts her goddamn ass off. But this thing, it's going to remind you of the Witch. It's going to remind you of a little bit of maybe She Will, Malak, whatever that came out. Like, it's kind of old school cultism, maybe a little sprinkle of Midsummer, whatever. And it's a lot. It's a lot to sit through, because when you're in the hut and there's a fire going and they're boiling fish heads or they're making stew or whatever they're doing, you can't get away from it. You are in this woman's perspective, and it's slow. It's methodical, it's plotting, it's just a lot. And you're kind of watching her argue and try to learn how to hunt or fish or gather vegetables, and she's just not good at it, right? Not everyone's cut out to do that kind of thing. So unfortunately for her, things don't go really well, and she ends up kind of spiraling into this madness, this paranoia, and this is just really a mental health case study. And because it's a true story, I didn't like it when I first watched it, but then I've thought about it quite a bit, and I think it's a really, really well-made movie. I think it rips. I think it's damn good, but it's not going to be for everybody. This might be the most divisive movie of 2024 because of the subject matter and because of the mental health stuff and the grief and the sadness. There is a lot of animal cruelty in this film. There's a lot of maggots, there's a lot of limb removal services, body mutilation, baby stealing and squealing, scarring, deep-set poisons, antiquated beliefs, wax infants, melting, you got it, vomiting, bodily discharge, everything you can think of, rat poison, right? Just painful to get through. This is a very calm and quiet film. You can notice I'm not going to cut this review. I'm just going to keep kind of going through this. This is a very painful and quiet film until it isn't. When it's not painful and quiet anymore, when there is a deliberate choice made, where this woman has no other escape, whether it's because of her religion, dogma, whatever, however she was raised, she needs out and she decides she's going to find her own way. And it's intense. I mean, talk about hallucinations and the drug trip and taking rat poisoning and then finally committing crimes to try to get away from this situation. It's a cry for help. She's pleading, and it takes a piece of you, man. It really does. I think being wedlocked into this slow burn, this character study of this woman who finds herself in a possible situation, throw in some, catonic disturbances, weird cello like music, and this might be one of the saddest things I've sat through in a long time, and it affected me a lot, and I didn't think that it was going to. Maybe even some paganism depending on the way that you look at it. But what happened when I went to sleep was, I watched this late at night, probably 11 o'clock, and because there's not a lot of dialogue, the music's important, right? And the shots and the things that they choose to kind of focus on really get into your head a little bit. And it's just really sad. The whole thing is just horribly sad, and you just feel terrible for this person. So I wasn't really thinking about it, I think, when I went to sleep. I thought that I was fine, and then I thought about this movie in the recesses of my mind for hours. I could not sleep. I thought about it. I dreamt about it. I was like stuck in this hut in this situation, and it was fucking horrible. And I kept seeing her face. There's this confession at the end that's just, it's very, very deliberate, and it's damn good. This actress acts her fucking ass off, man. I was unable to sleep, and I just kept repeating in my head over and over, kind of like when I first watched Hereditary, and then another one that I thought was pretty effective at doing that was, what's the game? Talk to Me, right? I kept seeing that woman in the corners of my room the night I had dreams about that film too. And this one, yeah, it got into my bones for sure, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. But I'm not going to recommend this to everybody because of the pacing. This is probably the slowest film of the year. The slowest. If you're into slow burns and you don't mind a movie taking its time, when I say nothing happens for like an hour and 10 minutes, minus the first 5 minutes where everything happens, you're like, holy shit, why are they doing, like, what am I seeing? You got heads in baskets, and you got people cutting off fingers and kissing them, and dead baby, like, there's a lot that happens, and then you're just like trapped. It's almost like, and I was reading some reviews with the director and some interviews and watching some stuff where they're saying like, yeah, this was a real thing, and this was the only way out for some of these people because of their religion. And it's just like, fuck, man, super intense. And I'm not trying to put people off from not watching it, but if you have a hard time with mental health and grief and sadness, this is a sad fucking movie. This is a historical drama, probably more than it is a horror film. There is some horrific moments in it, and they're going to stick with you because of what happens. And then all of a sudden it ends and everything's fine and people are dancing. And what they're dancing to and what they're drinking it's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. This movie might be the one that affected me the most all year, next to probably The Substance, which I thought was just killer. So that's my review of The Devil's Bath. Go check it out if you're into that. You want to see some people worshiping limbs and toes, and it's fucking strange, and it fucking hurts. The whole thing fucking hurts. It's mental illness, it's a cry for help, and it might take a piece of you. So if you're one of those people that really hate slow moving films, you're probably going to leave this a 1-star review. You're going to be like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever fucking seen. But if you're patient and you don't mind watching somebody go through paranoia and losing their mind and trying to basically commit a crime to get out of a relationship, this might just be for you. If you want to see more from me, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on social media. I got more stuff. I've got a ton of VHS to go through. I got new stuff I'm excited about. Wherever you're at, however you found me, take care. Cheers.